From years of anxiety to warrior and mentor, Bradley Robinson created the Anxiety Project to help you end your anxiety naturally. Let's mold the new you and let's end anxiety together.
Hello and welcome to episode 180 of the Anxiety Project podcast. I am Brad Robinson. Today, let's talk about beliefs, toxic beliefs that keep you stuck. Beliefs such as, I'll never get better. I'll always have this disease. I'll never change. How we can start to shatter these beliefs and, form new empowering beliefs. Now, before I dive into this episode, I want to go over what you guys have to say on previous episodes, starting with Paul. He leaves a comment on last week's episode about the big do nots during a panic attack. Paul says, good video. I struggle and have researched this subject a lot. I have learned some more today. Thanks again. Well, I'm grateful, Paul, that you learned something from my show. The amygdala in fight or flight can be a tricky place to manage. I'll try your 4 tips. As I can see in the past, I have reverted to one of these 4 when I was supposed to do something else or try something else. Thanks again. Well, Paul, thank you for leaving your comment. Keep working on it, because it's an up and down struggle. It looks like you're continuing to learn and grow, and that's a good thing. Yaskarin, I hope I'm saying that right. Apologies if I'm not. Thank you for this favor. I'm having anxiety attacks from last 6 months, and now when I was trying to heal myself, I came to know that my mother has thick blood and the doctor has prescribed aspirin for her. It has made me worried more than before, because now I think, what if I have the same problem? This has risen my anxiety again. What should I do? Well, Yaskarin, from what I can see from what you wrote, you're already sensitive by the time your mother was diagnosed. And because you were already sensitive, your emotional glass was overflowing, you reacted with strong emotion, right? You were already sensitive. And now that you came into contact with someone close to you going through a real physical problem, a situation, you can't help but come into contact with your own mortality, right? And what you should do, Yaskarin, is there's many things you should do. One thing is to go on my YouTube channel and do the releasing trauma exercise on one of the past experiences that facilitated your sensitivity over your health, that made you overly worried about what's going on internally, your sensations, your physical illness. Do that exercise on that moment or moments. There could be many moments. Also, this is the episode for you, because in this episode, I talk about the beliefs of, I believe I have this physical illness. I believe that I won't change or overcome anxiety. Listen to this and re-listen, because this will help. Also, Yaskarin, I think that changing your lifestyle around will help you. It certainly helped me, and I could see it has helped with my clients. Do things that activate your rest and digest system, that counteract your anxiety response. But also, if you have a poor belief that you're unhealthy, do things that cement in this new belief of, I am healthy because I meditate and I watch what I eat. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat that much carbs, and I eat really organic, whole, real foods, and I exercise and I spend time in nature and my relationships are healthy and all of these different areas, make sure that you expand on these different areas to cement in the belief of, yes, that's why I'm healthy, right? Now, that brings me into this episode because I'm talking about those beliefs, those toxic beliefs that keep us stuck in panic and anxiety. And really, I want to start off by defining beliefs, right? What are beliefs and how are they formed? Beliefs are unconscious programs. I believe all people are good. It's a program within you. And I see it all the time. When someone believes all people are good, they probably got that from their parents growing up. Who knows? An authority figure. And they come into contact with someone who's malevolent, who's purposefully out to get them. And they can't believe it, and it traumatizes them because it goes against what they firmly believe. I thought everyone is a good person, and now I come into contact with someone who's purposefully trying to destroy me, who's trying to make me suffer. And this flattens people. It sends them into a traumatic shock. And for them to get out of that traumatic shock, they have to then understand why people can do those things, why there are bad people in the world. Understanding good and evil will help that person to overcome this trauma and overcome this poor belief. Also, the belief of change isn't possible, or I believe I have this illness. And you form your programs from the models you had growing up, good or bad. And when you're a child, you look up to these people, not understanding what is good and what is bad. You don't have a set moral understanding of the world. You look at them and you think, this is what's required to function in the world, to behave like this, to say things like this. And so we absorb other people's beliefs. If our functioning, our view of the world, how to act in the world, is of low resolution, then we tend to believe the word of the other person without any challenge. Because what do you know? As a child, what do you know? I'm talking about those negative complaints or set mindset statements from other people. You hear from your dad, for example, change is impossible. Or say, all women are out to get you. And then as a child, you go, oh, really? Because what do you know? You're a child or a teenager or in your 20s, right? You're just trying to function properly, and you look up to the people who are further ahead on this journey and you absorb what they tell you, right? And it's understandable. That's what we all do. But we can unlearn all of these beliefs, which I will get into in this episode. And also, I want to mention that we tend to connect with others through this victim mentality. On the job front, for example, we hang around people who complain a lot, and we start to complain because we can fit in with these people, right? We blend in. And fear latches onto fear, right? We cling to others who share a similar mindset. So if you grew up with toxic beliefs ingrained within you, it's understandable that you are attracted to people who have the same beliefs as you. We take people's word for it because it fits with what we currently believe. And second, what do you know? Right? What do you know? And growing up, when your mom says, all men are bad, all men will cheat on you, or change isn't possible because look at your Uncle Ron, or don't get married because all women will backstab you. And you go, oh, I understand. There's no other model to go by but what's in front of you. A developing mindset would say to these statements, I think change is possible. Or there are 6 billion people and not all of them are the same person. Or I've seen or known couples who have been together their whole lives. But usually people in their 20s, they start to then challenge all of these programs that were installed in them growing up. You have to burn off what doesn't work for you, that what's keeping you stuck and from moving you forward. But also you have to subject yourself to other people who live differently than you, who say things different from what your parents said, who act differently from how your parents acted. And this will open up the doors to a new way of being, your perception of things start to widen. You start to grow. You start to evolve out of the old cocoon that has kept you in this limited, confined space. When you understand the poor beliefs of someone, you can start to think about the negative experiences they have had from their parents growing up. You understand that this is their view of the world. It doesn't have to be mine. It doesn't have to be mine. Their beliefs are not making their life any better. So why should I believe the same way? What's also interesting is your fears tell you something about your beliefs. So what do you fear? Write down all of your fears, whether it's being in public places because you fear of losing control, maybe dying in front of other people, having some sort of health concern and embarrassing yourself in front of other people, being in enclosed places where you might feel trapped, fears of doing something new, going to the gym, going and finding a new job, going on a date with someone. What are your fears? Start to do the opposite of what you used to do. And that's one of the ways you tackle your beliefs, is to find a new way of being. And it's important that you model after someone who has gotten the results you yearn for. What resonates with you? What defines a lifestyle you want? Is it people who smoke weed and sit around, play video games and make silly videos that, are very toxic in their content, whatever? Or is it someone who's going hiking and climbing mountains? Or is it someone who is living very mindful, who is very happy and confident and fit? Who is this person? And surround yourself with those people. It doesn't have to be in person. It can be online. It can be a podcast. It can be their videos. That's really important to know. Beliefs are formed by the emotional significance of the behavior, the words, the situation, your goals, the environment. You are trying to function the best you can in this world. You react to other person's information because you believe it will best serve you going forward. The more you subject yourself to a certain person, the more their voice becomes a part of you. Have you ever gotten that when you spend the day with a friend and you come home and you just hear their voice in your head? That happened to me all the time. And that's a sign of you absorbing their beliefs. A healthy role model should evoke the belief change is possible and change is necessary for growth. So do you have that person in your life? Subject yourself to those who reached the goals that speak to you, that pull you forward. Who manifested what you want for yourself? Who's that person? You start to absorb their beliefs the more you hang around them. They believe a more structured day is what's necessary, and then you start to believe that the more, not only by listening to them, but by practicing what they do. Because a big part of this is the growth within yourself. When you start to see the change happen within yourself, then you start to believe, oh, yes, maybe I can do this, or change is possible. This is working. To clarify a belief, ask yourself, I believe what about this sensation or situation? And then ask yourself, what do I want instead? If you believe you are sick, number one, a traumatic experience could have facilitated this belief. Coming into contact with something that exceeded your emotional threshold. Number two, perhaps you believe this about yourself because you're not doing what you can to be strong and healthy. Your conscience is coming forth and bringing up your inadequacies. You are not fulfilling your potential. You are not being the best you can be. And your lifestyle choices suck. And that's why you believe, I am a sick, unhealthy person. You must build on this belief of being healthy. How do you do that? I already told you. You have to shift your lifestyle around. You have to do things that build on this healthy personality. What does this healthy personality mean? Well, someone who exercises, who watches what they eat, who meditates, who does breathing exercises, who goes out in nature, spends less time on social media and Netflix. You define that. You define that. But you have to define what healthy means, and you have to pick a role model and start to adopt their way of being. You can uninstall programs by implementing new programs. Before I end this podcast, I want to talk about the abstract belief of I'm an unhealthy person. I'm a bad person. What are the roots of this belief? Because I'm a bad person or I'm an unhealthy person is the tree. What are the roots? Well, if you think you're unhealthy, in those roots could be, well, I'm eating Cheetos all the time. I'm eating pop for every meal. I'm not exercising. I'm sitting on the couch too much. I watch so much Netflix. I'm on social media all the time. My job is stressful. My partner is stressing me out. There are many things that you have to contend with, and that's not an easy thing. And, well, no kidding, because you have to put in a lot of cognitive effort to switch those things around. But I always say start with one thing, because that one shift in your lifestyle could bring about the shift in everything else. And that's what happened with me. I started with one addiction. I started with one behavior. I started with one role model. And then things get better. If things get 1% better every day, then your being a year from now will be completely different. And so all of your beliefs would be different, but you have to chip away at the small, specific actions, addictions, behaviors that you're doing every day that you know you want to stop, but can't seem to stop. By doing that, you will change. You will get out of the hole that you are in, but you have to be persistent. And that's where I'm going to leave you on today's podcast. Thank you for being here. Please rate and review this podcast because it'll help spread the word to other people who are currently suffering. And lastly, do not let anxiety define who you are. I will see you on the next podcast episode. Bye for now.
Brad's powerful anxiety recovery program is now available at unpluganxiety.com. The Anxiety Project program is downloadable and puts the power of anxiety recovery in your own hands. Visit unpluganxiety.com for more details. Recovery starts now.